Success does not come to those who wait. Success comes to those who go out and get it.
What happens now, it can change you or it can reduce you. And I get that you can't move right now and you feel like you had the wind sucked right out of you. So maybe you don't need to run, but you crawl, you creep, you inch yourself forwards. You do what you can, even if it's just 1% more.
And so you've got to be willing to persevere. Because we didn't take no. See, when the world says no, you say next. So what we have is this endless possibility, but you have to persevere. It's as if the universe tests our commitment. So if you're willing to decide what you want, believe it's possible, consciously envision the future, feel the feelings of what it would feel like if you had achieved this goal. You can have anything, and then you take action, both obvious actions and inspired action. You can do anything.
You have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever, to find what you love.
You need activation energy to start the change. That's the key to creating any kind of change. And then what do we hear over time? Once you start, there's a chain reaction, and that allows you to keep going.
When your day is a museum of disappointments hanging from events that were outside of your control. When you find yourself flailing in an ocean of why is this happening to me, remember that you will survive. Remember, things could be worse. Remember, we are never, ever given anything that we can't handle.
Are you going through it or are you growing through it? Are you bigger and better because of it? Things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing to do is to harness your will and let it go. I'm in control here. I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. What has brought you to this point? What did you learn from it? Are you learning anything, or are you doing it over and over and over again?
You are still alive. Act like it.
That's what life is about. Stretching and challenging. Looking for ways that you can begin to improve yourself.
You could turn anything in life into something if you just keep showing.
If you hate where you are in life and you have goals that are not getting accomplished, then you are not disciplining yourself. You are not loving yourself.
Here we have tofu. I won't touch this.
Welcome, 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 everyone. My name is Twana Donnelly. I'm a financial educator with Wealth Wave, a company of how money works, and I'm from Atlanta. I want to take this time to thank each and every one of you for coming out this morning for this super spectacular season-shifting Saturday morning where your life is about to change. How many of you today are ready to really learn about how money works? Okay. We got a few of you in the house today. How many of you are ready to learn about building wealth and leaving a generational legacy for your children's children and generations to come, as the word says? All right, I see y'all. Okay, well, today you're going to learn some things about financial education that we should have been taught in school, but we're not. But today is your new beginning. And I'm super excited for each and every one of you that's come out today and joined us online. And without further ado, I want to welcome Miss Cynthia Hicks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm glad to see each and every one of you. And thank you all for coming online. I would like to introduce you to my niece, Sharita Moraine. She's a Tuskegee graduate. She's the owner of her own business. She can help you fix your credit. And I'm new into this, but I'm ready to go in and help you if I can. But I want to introduce you to Sharita. She's coming.
Thank you so much, Auntie. What a pleasure to be here. And let's give a warm round of applause to Miss Cynthia, who is our newest financial educator, and she's going to be servicing families in the Texas area. So let's give a warm welcome to her. So as she mentioned, I am the owner of Treehouse M Financial Services. And Treehouse M Financial Services is really dedicated to helping people understand how their money works on all levels. So we're helping you understand your credit and how to fix it. We want to help you with insurance. We want to help you with all aspects. We want to help you get a house if that's what you're interested in doing. If you're starting a business, we want to help you make sure that you're doing it the right way. So that's what Treehouse M Financial Services is all about. But today we're here to talk about how money works. How money works. Stop being a sucker. And to borrow Twana's words, this is a super spectacular season shifting Saturday. And we're so happy that you all are here to learn about how your money can work for you. So, Benjamin Franklin says investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Investment in knowledge pays the best interest. By a show of hands, how many online or in the room took a course on financial literacy growing up? Anyone? I see no hands in the room. Okay, so that tells us that financial literacy is something that we're all lacking. And it's something that keeps us in what's called the sucker cycle. And what's the sucker cycle? The sucker cycle is when you get a paycheck and instead of putting your money to work for you, you pay other people and they invest their money and have their money work for them. And how do you get caught in the sucker cycle? It's easy. Most people don't have a financial education. So really, it's something that most Americans were raised with that mindset of being in the sucker cycle. And these are some of the things that can keep you in the sucker cycle. As far as eating out, ride shares, subscriptions, lottery tickets, coffee and lattes, and alcohol. All of these things can contribute to keeping you in the sucker cycle. Now, a recent study shows that 30% of people in the world are financially literate. 30%. That number should be staggering to everyone in the room and online, because that means that 70% of the world's inhabitants are not financially educated. They don't know how to use their money. And that absolutely will keep you in the sucker cycle. And we want to teach everyone today how to get out of that sucker cycle. All right, so we just mentioned that 30% of the U.S. inhabitants of the world's inhabitants are financially educated. So how does that impact Black America? Well, let's take a look at this chart. This chart is from the Brookings Institute. The Brookings Institute is a nonprofit public policy organization that's been around since 1916, so for over 100 years. And they conduct research and education in social sciences, specifically economics. Okay, so this chart shows the median net worth by race from 1989 to 2016. Now let's take a look at this chart. Do you see the purple line here? This purple line is showing all families across the board. But if you look down at the bottom and you see that green line, that's where most Black families fall on this chart. That's a staggering number. That's something that everyone should be alarmed about, and we need to do our parts to learn what we can so we can make better decisions about our money for ourselves and for our children and generations to come. Now let's take a look at this chart from the same article. It is comparing white American net worth to Black American net worth. And as you can see, even when we're in the top 10%, we're still not making the same money. We're still not able to save as much. We're still not passing on as much to the next generations. Now, there are a lot of factors that play into this, okay? An article by Black Enterprise states that Black Americans are losing out on an average of $68 trillion in wealth transfer. 68 trillion. That's a lot of money, okay? Why are we missing out on this? Estate planning and financial literacy. So we need to be taking the time to know what we don't know, and that's why we're here today. So pat yourselves on the back for being here, because you are taking the steps you need to be financially educated. All right? So this article also says, and I'm just going to read it because it's that important. It says, white families receive much larger inheritances on average than black families. Black families who make it to the top of the income distribution in a particular year are more likely than white families to drop out of the top in subsequent years, and their respective wealth levels reflect this difference. Why is this? High and middle-income black families are more likely than their white counterparts to be called upon to assist family members and neighbors. All right? And the average white family median wealth is $188,000 compared to $24,000 for the average black family. There is work to be done. And that is why we're here today, because we want everyone in our community to have the same knowledge that other groups have and to be able to make the same financial decisions for their children as other groups. So now we're going to get into some financial concepts that maybe you haven't heard of, but are so important to being financially literate. The first is the power of compound interest. What is compound interest? Basically, compound interest is the growth potential of your money over time through compounding. So the compounds on the interest that your money has already made and your principal money. So yes, your rate of return really does matter. So let's talk about your savings account for a moment. And hopefully everyone has one. And if you don't, there's no shame. Again, we just show that financial literacy isn't a big priority. It hasn't been a big priority, okay? So let's talk about that savings account. Your savings account, on average, if you're lucky, gives you a return rate of interest of 0.09%, all right? So keep that in mind when we look at this chart. This chart is showing rates of return at 4 different rates. So we have 1%, 3%, 6%, and 9%. We're assuming that you're investing or saving $178 a month between 25 and 67 monthly, just $178. At 1%, at 67, you're going to have $111,000. But with compound interest and a higher interest rate, at 9%, you could have almost $1 million in the same time period. So you see how compound interest is really important to helping you grow your money. So let's talk about the time value of money. The time value of money basically is saying the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. So you have to start now, save regularly, and be patient. It's going to take time for your money to grow. But the earlier you start, the more that you'll see your money grow for you. So let's take a look at 2 characters from the book, How Money Works. And this book will be given to everyone who's registered today, and we're so happy to give this piece of financial literacy out because it really is the first place you should start to educate your family. This book was written by fellow financial educators who were also wanting everyone to know how their money should work. Okay, nice guys. And Sarah from the book starts saving at 22. Right? Sarah saves about $4,000 a year, which comes to about $300 a month. She saves from 22 to 29, so for 8 years. George, on the other hand, doesn't start saving it until 30. But George saves the same amount as Sarah regularly until he retires at 67. Now, if you can take a look at this chart, even though Sarah started or stopped saving sooner than George, she has over $110,000 more at retirement than he does. This is how the time value of money plays into you building wealth. She started earlier, she took advantage of starting earlier, and it paid off in the end because she has more money than George, even though George saved longer than Sarah did. So let's talk about the $1 million baby. Anybody heard of a $1 million baby? This is an awesome concept. $1 million baby is a common sense strategy that empowers families to create a legacy for their children without having to be wealthy. Now, who likes that concept? I love that concept because I think a lot of people have limiting beliefs about how to build wealth. They think they have to make $1 million in order to have something to leave to their families, and it's just not true. And that's what we're here to do, is to educate you and to break down some of those limiting beliefs that you might have about money that are keeping you from your financial goals. All right? So we're going to visit two other characters in the book, and we're going to start with Dana. Now, Dana was lucky enough to put away $13,000 when her daughter was born. That is a dream that all of us could have, to put away $13,000 when your child was born. She did a lump sum, and we're assuming an average rate of return of 6.5%, compounded monthly. By the time her daughter is 67, there will be over $1 million in this account. Mind-blowing. $1 million in this account from a $13,000 investment at birth. But what if she couldn't put away $13,000 at birth? What if she had to wait a little while? What if she couldn't do it until her daughter was 18? So let's assume that at 18, we invest that same $13,000. At age 67, her daughter only has $311,000. Tell me, how many people can afford to lose $700,000 by waiting? This is the time value of money. This is why it's so important to start as early as possible, because it could really cost in the end. So let's take a look at Hector, another character from the book. Hector doesn't have $13,000 to put down, but he does have $2,500. So Hector invests that $2,500 and then $250 monthly. And look, at the age of 67, we've got the same results. He's still able to save over $1 million in this account for his son. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to leave to the next generation. This allows them to do things you might have never dreamed of. They can essentially become their own bank. They can start a business. They can buy a house. They can take a vacation. They can do whatever they want because now they have the flexibility and the freedom to do so, and you were able to give that to them. How beautiful is that? So let's say Hector waited till his son turned 18. Same $2,500 invested, same $250 a month, and look at the results. At 67, only $313,000 in the account. So again, the earlier we start, the better off that account will be. So let's talk about the rule of 72. So earlier, I mentioned that savings account that has, if you're lucky, a 0.09% interest rate. Now, everybody should have a calculator on their phone. Let's do a little experiment. And those online, please participate. If you could, the rule of 72 states how fast your money will double. So 72 divided by the interest rate is going to give you the time your money to double. So 72 divided by 0.09%. Anyone can tell me what it is? let's see, 72 divided by 0.09, 800 years. Who has 800 years for their money to double? I know I don't. 800 years. So, if you have money in a savings account, maybe you want to reconsider putting it someplace else where you can allow your money to get a higher interest rate, a return of investment, and have your money double a lot faster than every 800 years. Okay? So let's talk about the 7 money milestones. These are so important. Now, you don't have to accomplish them all at once. You don't have to even do them all at once. You can do them at one at a time, whatever works for you. But they all should happen if you want to gain financial security and independence. The 7 money milestones are financial education, proper protection, emergency fund, debt management, cash flow, build wealth, and protect wealth. So let's talk about number 1. You're already here. You're already in the room. You're getting financially educated. You should give yourselves a pat on the back for that. You're learning what you don't know so you can make better financial decisions. And that's what we're here for. That's why we're giving out these books, because we want people to know how their money works. 2, proper protection. Proper protection is going to protect you against income, loss of income, and loss of savings. And this is where your life insurance comes in. September is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and we are here to let you know that everybody should be insured. And you may think, well, I can't afford life insurance, or I already have life insurance. Well, 59% of Americans have life insurance, but most of them are uninsured. So, underinsured. Most of them are underinsured. So, if you do have life insurance, please take a moment to make sure that the policy that you have is sufficient for you and your family. Your life insurance policy should cover up to 10 times the amount of your income. Does your life insurance do that? If it doesn't, you should be taking a look at it and speak with a financial educator, there are several in the room, that can help you understand proper protection. Next, emergency fund. Emergency fund is so important. You should have 3 to 6 months income saved. And I know most people are like, I don't have 1 month income saved. I've been there. My story, how I even got into this business, I found myself laid off a week before my 40th birthday. And 3 months later, I found myself about to be evicted. And I was wondering, how did I get here? I went to college. I have a degree. I should know how to handle my money. But I didn't. And I was so ashamed at the moment. But I knew that I didn't want to live that way. Because what do they say the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over, looking for different results. So I knew that I had to change the way I looked at money, and I knew that I had to do it quickly because I had people depending on me. So the emergency fund, it doesn't matter how quickly you do it, just do it. Just get started. Even if it's $10, start on your emergency fund. It's that important. So how do you create an emergency fund? Well, like again, you start slowly. There are 2 rules to an emergency fund. It's only for emergencies. I know, that's like a duh, right? It's only for emergencies, but a lot of times we'll put money in savings, we'll feel good about it, and then the moment we need something, we're dipping into it. And then when we actually need something, it's not there, okay? So always remember rule number 1, the emergency fund is only for emergencies. And rule number 2, if you have an emergency, use it. That's what it's for. You shouldn't feel any way about it. You've put this money to the side for these circumstances. Your car's broken. Your fridge went kaput, your AC went out, whatever the case is, you now have the funds to do it. All right? Rule number 4, debt management. Change your spending habits. Now, in order to change your spending habits, you have to change the way you think about money. So that brings us back to rule number 1 on getting a financial education. You have to know how to make your money work for you and how to stay out of debt. So let's go back to the rule of 72. The rule of 72 tells you how much time it takes for your money to double, right? So I want you guys to go home, look at those credit card statements you have. I bet you the bank's money is doubling a lot faster than yours is. So maybe that'll trigger you to think twice about spending that credit card or using that credit card or overspending on whatever. When you have a different thought process about money and you understand how it works, it helps you to make better decisions. And it's a slow shift. It may be a slow shift. So don't beat yourself up when you get in a situation that you feel like you should have known not to get into, because it happens to all of us. But this is something that should be ever present in your life, your money management. Because where attention goes, energy flows. And if you put your attention towards making sure that your money is working in the right ways, then you don't have to worry about your money at all. You can go out and live your life. All right, so 5 tips to staying out of debt. Know what you owe. Stop paying late payments. No more late payments. Every time you pay a late payment, they're charging you for the late payment, and it's increasing the amount that you owe. Target one debt at a time. It's like how they say how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. Just take tiny baby steps until you get to your goal. Stop charging and cancel unused subscriptions. If you're not using it, they shouldn't have your money. And lastly, if it works for you, refinance your mortgage. Okay, number 5, increase your cash flow. Earn additional income. I know that sounds flippant, and I don't want it to sound flippant, but if you've noticed, everybody's got a side hustle these days. I know you know 5 friends that have 5 things that they're doing, okay? Make those side hustles work for you. Use that money to get out of debt. Use that money to do the things that you actually want to do in life. The Bible says the love of money is the root of evil. Did I get that right? The love of money. I'm not telling you to cherish money. I'm telling you to make it work in a way that makes sense for you and your family. So again, side gigs, start a business, adjust your W-2 allowances, talk to a financial educator. We can help you make moves to increase your cash flow. Build wealth. Now, building wealth is all about what we were talking about, $1 Million Baby, that whole concept of compound interest, and it brings us to the seed versus the harvest. Okay, so if you save $10,000 at age 29 and earn a 9% annual return each year, you would have $250,000 by the time you were 65. Would you rather pay taxes on the seed, $10,000, or the harvest, $250,000? I'd rather pay taxes on the seed. Absolutely. But most people don't know this, right? So they put money into vehicles that when they go, it looks like a lot of money, but then when they go to take it out, the government's gotten their part, everybody's taking their part out, and it's looking less and less, and you have less to work with than you thought. So there are 3 ways you can be taxed. You can be taxed now, you can be taxed later, or you can be taxed never. How many would like to fall into the tax never box? I absolutely would love to fall in the tax never box, and we are here to show you how you can do that. And lastly, protect wealth. Now, we all are familiar with the untimely death of Prince in 2016. He left an estimated value wealth of $150 million with no estate plan. That's a lot of money. Aretha Franklin, put some respect on her name, died in 2018 and left an estimated net worth of $80 million. Again, no estate planning. So what happens when you leave that type of wealth and there's no plan? There's nobody to give it to. There's no organization to leave it to. There's no church to leave. What do we do? It goes into probate. And it can be tied up in probate for years. So not only is your money not working for you, it's not working for your family. It's not working for anybody. It's working for whoever is over it in probate. And that's the last people we need it to be working for. And it goes back to the article that I mentioned in the front from Black Enterprise that states $68 trillion that we're leaving on the table because we don't know how to estate plan. We don't know financial literacy. These are things we can change now. So there are 4 documents that every family should have: a will, financial power of attorney, advanced health care directive, or a living will as it's called, or Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act release. And these things will help your family to deal with the next level in life, the next step, and to do it in a smoother way because you've already done all the hard work up front, right? So I hope that I've given you all a lot to think about today. I thank you all for your time, and I am going to bring up financial educator Kamisha Fisher.
Thank you, Sharita. That was a wonderful presentation, and we thank you all for coming as well. I would like to start with you guys giving yourself a round of applause for being here. You took the first step in your own financial freedom. At this time, we do have a few moments. We're going to do a couple of things. We are going to have time for questions and answer sessions, but Ms. Tawana is also passing out a form for those of you that are here in person. If you can go ahead and fill that out for us, and we'll collect that from you at the end. As mentioned earlier, we do have a few things for you that are here in person. We do have a book for each of you that have registered. It's the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book. This is part of completing step 1 in our financial milestones. And we also in the back have a folder, and it has lots of information and a where to start point with getting your finances, your personal finances in order. But before we get to questions and answers, I have a couple questions for you and a few gift cards for those of you who can answer some questions. Let's see how well you were paying attention to Ms. Sharita's wonderful presentation. Let's start with the rule of 72. Who can tell me the basic concept of what the rule of 72 is? Exactly. It is 72 divided by the interest rate will tell you the number of years that it takes for your money to double. So, okay. Another concept that she mentioned was the time value of money. Can anyone give me, what did you take from that concept? Time value of money. Come on, she did good. She told us a lot. She told us a lot. Oh, he gonna be rich, y'all. He gonna be rich. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The time value of money, simply stated, is time is money. Please, as soon as you can, the sooner you can, the better. Get started with having your finances in order. Investing, saving, And for those of us that maybe feel like it's too late, it's not too late. And it's definitely not too late for our children and our grandchildren, great grandchildren, and sometimes nieces and nephews, because in our community, extended kin is just as close as the child that you've given birth to. So we are able to help with things that we can put in place for our nieces and nephews and grandkids, and they too can experience an abundance based on the value of time in their lives. And I know you were listening, paying great attention. We're going to exempt you from this last question, okay? We're going to exempt you. So, she talked about 7 money milestones. Those are the 7 steps that we should each take in our personal lives to get our personal finances on the best track to financial freedom. Can anyone tell me and explain to me what is step 1? You know it. You really know it. I know you know it because you're here. Financial education, step number 1. And the beginning to a financial education is a mindset to want to learn, bringing yourself and placing yourself in a room such as this to gather the information. And again, you're going to get your How Money Works book, which is your personal finance book, your little mini personal finance Bible. Easy to understand. If any of you have teenagers that can read, children that can read, they can read this book. It's full of characters and pictures. They get it, they understand it, and you can learn as a family, learn together. And the good thing is children talk. They will tell their friends. And what does that mean? Those friends go home and tell their parents about the characters that they learned in the book, and those parents ask, what is that? Who are those people? So now you have essentially begun a cycle of sharing financial literacy concepts. Sharing is caring. And in this case, sharing is wealth. Okay? So at this time, if there's any questions, we are open the floor. We can go ahead and do that for a few moments. Afterwards, directly afterwards, in the back, we have light refreshments, and you can talk to any of us financial educators. If you have, a need to want to schedule an appointment, to have someone sit and talk to you about, your personal finances, your insurance needs, and or just doing a basic review of the insurance that you may have already have in place. Okay? So, remember. And yes, she's absolutely right. On that form that we have, if you're actually interested in becoming a financial educator, that too is something we can talk to you about afterwards. If you're online or have friends and family that may have not been able to get here, they can go online. Again, we are a How Money Works company, and we can get you set up and help you get started spreading the word as well, okay? You have a question. He's got answers their questions. Love it.
So the first one, for those that are online and they're not able to complete this form and they're interested in connecting with one of you, what should they do?
We do have our information. If you registered on there, there's the contact information, but also afterwards we can give each of you our cards, and they have our information, and they can email us, call us, and we'll get to them. And or if you feel comfortable, if they're okay with it, you can give us their information, their contact information. We'll just reach out to them directly. I think step number 2 on there, I just want to confirm I had it right. Was it 10 times your annual income? 10 times your annual income is a benchmark for how much insurance that you would like to have. Okay. He was taking notes too. Actually, that will be something that is available for, further teaching on a personal, just depending on, what you're investing, how you're investing.
And then for myself, I'm not too familiar with the financial power of attorney pieces. Is that something too, like a one-on-one conversation
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? Tell us what you thought. Yes, ma'am. So, again, those choices are definitely personal choices. Um, Putting in place a power of attorney, you also can speak to an actual legal attorney and they will give you, legal advice. But the ultimate choice does boil down to yourself and your family members. Who do you think will be there? Who's able to enforce what it is that you want to have enforced? Your power of attorney. Huh? Uh-huh. Is who do you think is able and willing to do what you want them to do with that directive? And just be mindful that there are different types of power of attorneys. You have your medical power of attorneys for your medical decisions. That may be one person. And then you have your power of attorneys over things such as your finances. So sometimes in families, we have, we want our spouse to be our medical, but maybe that's too emotional for them, or maybe it's too, so you get to decide that personally. Wisdom. Be easily swayed. But you're absolutely right. You should also consider the health and livelihood of the person that you're selecting. You know. They're different. They're absolutely different. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So not better, but different. How do they serve your personal situation? Okay. Yes. No, ma'am. You do not have to have an attorney to do your will. We actually do have a partnership with a company, Everest, as part of their insurance products here. They are considered a concierge service. You get access to be able to go online, print out your stuff, fill it in as you wish for your will, and it puts it in place. And if you need to change it because maybe a person that you select is no longer a person you want in your will, you can go on there as many times, as often as you like, and it's free because it's all a part of the premium cost that you're paying for your insurance product. So no, ma'am, you do not have to have an attorney to have your will in place. We had any other questions? We'd like to hear your comments, feedback. Do you have family, friends maybe that you think could benefit from this information? Oh, he right there. You brought him with him. Okay. Well, look, aren't you glad you came? So this is what I personal suggestion would be. Again, you selected the people that you put in power, so to speak, in your absence at this time. The people that are in your will and the things that you're giving, again, your stuff, your choice. So is it okay to share? It's absolutely okay. Do you want to? That's really the basic question. Do you want to? The people that I would say to share certain things the beneficiaries on your life insurance policies, the beneficiaries on any of your policies. Make sure that they know they're their actual beneficiary. Make sure that you have their contact information up to date, because the insurance company is only going to reach out to those persons that are listed. Those people need to absolutely, in my opinion, need to know that they are beneficiaries. Now, if in fact you feel the need to share with the others, by all means, it's a gift. Remember that. Whatever you're given, it's a gift. So you can. Yes, ma'am. Your will, if you do it through an attorney, they do have processes and things where it is registered. However, you can have them, it's not absolute necessity that it has to be, not your will. Okay. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's an attentive process, but again, you know, it can be done and it can be changed and done online. He said just put his name on everything. You don't have to worry about it. Well, we again thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. We appreciate the opportunity to come out and share with you guys. We appreciate that your sister here is now in service and in business to help and spread the word. So she's also available to you guys if you have people here in the area nearby that you want to, place in contact with her. She's more than willing to help assist in that. And if you would go ahead and meet us in the back, we will get you your folders and your books. Before you leave, if you can hold up your yellow sheet, we'll come by and collect that from you. And again, we thank you very much for being here to learn and to take step number 1 in learning how money works.